Hello and welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is James Parker. I'm a professional landscape photographer and I live in Vancouver, Washington. Today, I'm going to share the one thing that will elevate your photography further and faster than anything else. And no, it's not buy my Photoshop course, join my Patreon list, or follow my 10 things that professionals do that most photographers don't list. Now, I've been a musician pretty much my entire life, and I was a professional musician. That was my entire job for over 20 years. But learning to be good as a musician was a very long road with a lot of mistakes and a lot of trial and error on my part. So what does becoming a musician have to do with becoming a better photographer? Well, both are art forms. They're very creative, and both require a lot of practice and study. It's not something you just pick up and become immediately proficient at. So when I started band in 6th grade, I was one of like 50 kids with one director in this huge class. And if you've ever been to a beginning band concert, it was pretty awful. So I'd go home and I'd practice and I'd blat away in my room, and everybody around me thought I was really good. My parents, my friends, they were all like, "Oh wow, you're in the band, it's amazing." Thing is, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea if I was making progress. The band director was one, and there were like 40 or 50 of us. The odds of any one of us getting any kind of personal attention in such a large group was pretty much zero. So over the years, I improved slowly, I guess. I mean, I did learn things. It wasn't until two things happened that really supercharged my learning and really caused like exponential growth as a musician. I started taking private lessons, and then one summer, I went to band camp. Private lessons was one-on-one. My instructor was a trumpet player. He knew exactly what my mistakes were. He knew exactly what I was doing wrong, and he guided me like no band director in a group of 50 people or 40 people or even 20 people could do. All of a sudden, I knew exactly where my shortfalls were. I knew exactly how to practice. I knew exactly what to practice. The other thing was band camp. Band camp put me in a group of really diverse musicians far outside my comfort zone. Instead of being what I was considered the best, I was thrust in groups where I was nowhere close to the best. And all of a sudden, I was surrounded with other musicians that were much better than me, and I was put in ensembles, and different types of music was exposed to me that had never been exposed into my little rinky-dink middle school band back home. So being exposed to a group of much better musicians that were focused, it was an intense focus for band camp, was 2 weeks of nothing but music all day, every day. Not just like, 1 hour period at band at school and that was it. This was an intensive 2-week, nothing but music all day, every day. So you see where I'm going with this now? When you bought your first camera, it was probably pretty daunting with all the menu settings and learning what the exposure triangle, you kept it on that little green square all the time, program automatic mode. And by yourself, you probably struggled quite a bit trying to learn it. Sure, you watched YouTube videos, or you read manuals and bought books, and you did things out on your own, but it was very slow, and again, I would be willing to bet you struggled quite a bit. As a matter of fact, you might have struggled enough that you just put the camera up and never bothered to use it again. YouTube is a one-way path for learning and communication. Your little comments really don't count. Same thing with social media, Instagram, Facebook. You look at a photo, you make a comment, "Oh, that's beautiful," or you post a photograph and everybody says it's amazing. There's not a lot of back and forth that happens. The praise that occurs or the criticism that occurs is very one-sided. By far, the best way and the fastest way, I think, to improve your photography is to take a photography workshop. Taking a photography workshop puts you with a group of like-minded individuals who are all love photography, who all want to improve their photography. It also puts you in front of incredibly photogenic locations, and with a good instructor, you'll get that instant feedback and instruction that you need to elevate your photography much faster in a much more concise way than you ever could all by yourself. Workshops can vary in length. I offer one-day workshops if you live here in the Pacific Northwest, and they can go up to 1 week or even 2 weeks for destinations that are in another country. The number of participants in a workshop can vary greatly. It can be just a few up to over a dozen. Photography conferences can have well over 100 participants. These huge groups are great for networking, but not so great for learning when it comes to having personal time or any type of a personalized attention when you're out shooting in the field. But for my workshops, I prefer smaller groups, anywhere between 4 and 8, so that I can make sure that I spend enough time with everybody so that everyone comes away with some great photographs. To me, workshops are just not really worth it if the group is too large, because you're simply not going to get the time that you deserve and get your money's worth. So before you go book a workshop, there's some questions I recommend you ask and get good answers to. Number one, what's the maximum group size? The next question is, what's included in the price? Another question I would be sure to ask is, how much instruction do you get in the field? The last question I would make sure to ask is, do they do any post-processing classes? Do they review images like on a daily basis, or at least like every other day, instead of waiting till you get home to discover that everything was wrong? So teaching that post-processing and going through your images at least a few times during the week is super critical. My workshops are different. Your photos always come first. Your experience and your learning always come first. In my workshops, you don't have to worry about trying to find lodging, where you're going to stay, when you're going to check out, how long is this, how long is that. You don't have to worry about renting a car. Once you're land at the airport, I pick you up at the airport. It makes it so simple, so that the only thing you have to worry about or concentrate on is becoming a better photographer. On my workshops, it doesn't matter if you're a beginner who just bought a brand new camera, or you're an intermediate or somebody that bought a camera a long time ago and haven't used it in quite a while, or if you're pretty experienced to know the ins and outs of the exposure triangle. I can meet you where you are. I can teach you what you need to know, fill in the gaps, and I can promise that you'll come away with some amazing photographs. If you'd like to jumpstart your photography, I invite you to take a look at mine. Head over to jamesparkerphoto.com, where you'll see a list of all the workshops that I have coming up this year and next. I actually have a opening left, one left for my fall colors. If you get in quick, you'll be able to make that one. If not, it's probably going to fill for Leavenworth, Washington, and for Silver Falls State Park. If you'd like to travel to some amazing countries, in 2024, I'm headed back to Japan for cherry blossoms at the end of March, 1st of April. I have one opening left for that. Actually, it's for a couple or one person. And then I also have a workshop to Italy in the end of September into the 1st of October. The first part of that tour is going to cover Sorrento and Naples and the Amalfi Coast and Rome. And then we're going to head up to Tuscany, where we're going to spend the other half of the workshop photographing up there. If you're interested in either one of those, again, head over to my website, www.jamesparkerphoto.com, and you can reach out to me there or via comments below or via my email. So that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. I hope you liked it. I hope you got something out of it. I'll show you the photograph that I came away with that I was messing around with earlier in the video. As always, I appreciate a thumbs up. I really appreciate hit that subscribe button and that notification bell down there. I appreciate it very, very much. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.